Hello guys, I'm back talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Pay to Win because we've had some new information released just today on GameSpot with an interview they did with Electronic Arts about this very subject. I'll come to that later, but first I want to talk about who's to blame for all this in the first place. You see, the blame lands first and foremost with the gamers. Now I know some people are more gullible, some people have lack of self-control. There's a percentage of people like that and you can't really say much about them because that's just the way they are. But then you've got the people who don't have them issues in their life. The people who are just fucking ignorant. Just absolutely ignorant of what's going on in the big bad world of business. And they can't see past the nose on their face. You see, they want good games, but they don't understand that by accepting this dross, it's making their future game, their next game, worse. And then when they buy their next game, that makes the following game worse. So it all has a knock-on effect. If you want good games, if you want terrific games, and let's make no mistake about it, we could have brilliant games because we have the computing power. We certainly have the talent out there. It's just that gamers today make developers lazy and publishers greedy. And the only way to stop it and to stop the system is we need to kill it. We need to kill the current system. And the only way you can kill the current system is to fuck over the shareholders. We need to starve these shareholders. All the big companies like Electronic Arts are all run by shareholders. The shareholders have the power. Make no mistake about it. And if the shareholders aren't getting their dividends, guess what? They'll invest their money elsewhere. Hopefully far away from the gaming industry. But at the minute they're investing in games. And that is making games worse. Because they are exploiting, not directly, indirectly, gamers. Because these big companies need to give these investors a return on their investment. And they're doing it through DLCs, loot boxes, by carving up the game, essentially. So we need to stop these investors investing in games. We need to make games look like, ooh, you don't want to be investing your money in there, it's very volatile. Let's make the game market volatile. We need a crash. Now, let's talk about budgets for big games. Now, we're talking about $60 million for a big AAA game now. And a guy called Rich Hillman, who is an EA executive, well, he was an EA executive in 2009, he said that generally speaking, Electronic Arts spends 2 or 3 times as much on marketing and advertising as it does in developing a game. Just think about that, guys. On all the hype, on buying YouTubers and all of that, they will spend 2 or 3 times more money than it does to develop a game. All these people these apologist fanboys who say, oh, we have to have loot crates, we have to have microtransactions, we have to have season passes and DLCs because games cost so much. So I think we should buy them and support them because if we didn't, we wouldn't get these big games. No, what you're paying for is lies. You're paying for lies. That's what you're paying for. The games don't cost 60 million to make. They probably only cost a third of that or a quarter of that. The rest is spent on lies. It's spent on these false trailers like the one on your screen now that isn't a real trailer. It doesn't show anything about the game. It just says, hey, this is game footage captured in the engine. That's bullshit. That doesn't make it real. That doesn't make it gameplay footage. It just shows the closest thing they can to a movie. So that all these brainwashed, deluded boys will sit there and go, oh my goodness, this looks so good, doesn't it? This looks so good. No, it doesn't look so good because you haven't actually seen the game. You're not looking at the game. It's smoke and mirrors. What the is wrong with people? Guys, what is wrong with people? It's scary. I want to cry. What is wrong with people? Why are people so stupid in 2017? What the happened? Why do these people, oh, here, take my money, you've seen that everywhere. Take my money, take my money. These people, they are absolutely blind. They're the kind of people that get taken for a ride off every con man. They'll be the ones that get their PC infected and they'll pay up on these phone call scams that people ring the house. They're the people that double glazing salesmen will get twice as much money out of than the guy next door who's been red pilled. These are the people that fall for everything. They are spineless, pathetic excuses of human beings. And there'll be a few of them in the comments of this video. Oh, there'll be the deniers. There'll be the deniers that there's anything going on here. You know, what we're looking at, guys, is we are looking at these huge corporations spending maybe 40 million of a 60 million budget on lies, on hyping up the lies, paying YouTubers to lie openly. And they're willing to do it. The YouTubers don't give a f***. Half of them aren't even gamers. They're just, it's their job. Do you know what? When I was 18, I was in a pub, my local pub. The local vicar of our village was pissed as a fart on the Bandit. The Bandit is a slot machine. He was on a slot machine and he could hardly stand up. And I said to him, "You fake c***." That was my words. I said I was a bit pissed. But I just looked at him and I just thought, you're going to stand up on Sunday morning and preach to all the old people. They have no idea that you're in here pissed as a fart on the money that they f***ing give you. That's what these YouTubers is doing. That's what these big game review sites is doing. They're just taking the money. Oh yeah, we have to give you a good review here. Oh yeah, you paid me. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. And that's what's going on. Look at that guy at Need for Speed at E3. I'm a YouTuber. My boy Nick. He probably never even fucking played Need for Speed, but he's standing there because he's got a few million followers saying, "Buy this game. It's a great game, man. I'm a YouTuber." You know, people will do anything for money now. Money talks. And it just doesn't matter who you are, there's a price on all of the fucking heads, from the biggest guys to the smallest guys. You'll see them on every billboard, every bus stop, every TV advert break. You'll see this amazing footage that it just says at the bottom of the screen, in-game engine footage, which means basically this is lies, by the way. This isn't what you'll be doing. You won't be doing this when you buy this game, okay? This is lies. That's what it should say at the bottom. Lies footage. It's like the loot boxes about Star Wars Battlefront 2 isn't pay to win. You know, oh, it's not pay to win. It's not pay to win. All these apologetic, spineless people. Of course it's pay to win. This is an interview GameSpot did with Electronic Arts today. This is what he said about direct accusations of pay to win on Star Wars Battlefront 2. He said, "Players' fears are understandable and the accusations are hard to dodge." They're hard to dodge because it's fucking true, guys. It's a pay to win game. That's why he can't fucking deny it. It's pay to win. And he's not denying it. He's just, well, you know, it's hard to dodge. I mean, I can't really deny that. That's what he's pretty much saying. It's like, if you don't believe us, if you look at it from this scenario, if you had two identical people playing on two identical machines, both playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 in multiplayer, they're both exactly the same skill level, same machine, everything. One person throws down, I don't know, $1,000 and buys a shit ton of crates right from the get-go, and then he bumps into the other guy who's paid for no crates. Over all the battles that they have together, guy who buys crates is going to win the vast majority of them encounters. Now that's just a fact, because the guy, he may only have small advantages, but because their skill level's the same, he has that little bit more damage, that little bit more accuracy, that little bit more explosion radius from his grenades. He has the advantage, which means if you pay, you win. You can't deny that. There is no denying that whatsoever. And the only way to stop pay to win is to stop buying the games. It is as simple as that. Stop buying the loot boxes. Stop buying the DLCs. They carve your game up into little bits and they release it bit at a time. They'll give you the base copy for like £50. And then if you want the rest of the missions, it's another $24.99. And then if you want the rest of the items that go with the missions, you've got to buy the fucking gambling loot crates. And then you might get them, you might not get them. And at the end of the day, somebody who's got everything that game has is probably playing well over about $150. And as fast as you're unlocking it all, they're bringing in new stuff in DLCs. That's the way it works in gaming today. Because these big fat Jabba the Hutt fucking shareholders demand their fucking returns on their investment. And Electronic Arts and Co. have got to give these investors their returns or the company goes tits up. And who's the victim at the end of the day? Us, gamers. Because we get substandard games, we get poor games, we get bad games, we get pay to win games, we get games in bits and bobs drip fed to us. And who are the winners? The shareholders. The big fat shareholders, the people at the top. It's not the developers. Look what EA has done to Visceral Games. They've just devoured them. Like I said in my Daily Ding the other day, they just take a company, strip it down of everything they've got, rape it basically, and then they just chuck it away. They don't give a shit about the developers, the hard-working coders. They don't get a good wage. Some of them are working in absolutely awful conditions. It's these corporate wankers, guys. They're the ones that win. They're the ones who are driving around in the big cars snorting cocaine off prostitutes' nipples. It's not the hard coders, it's not the innovative coders or the artists. They don't get much at all. And it's all on the back of lies, guys. How many games have you bought where the hype has said one thing but the game's delivered another? It happens all the time in the AAA world. And it's people like you who are watching this video to blame. That's right. You look at your game library. I'm to blame. I've bought stuff. I'm not just pointing the finger at you. I'm just as much part of the problem. I've bought games before I was doing reviews. I've bought games on the back of hype, fed the bloody monster. Now I have to buy them to review them. But I certainly don't buy all the loot shit and the DLCs. No chance. We live in a world full of horrible corporate greed. It's everywhere you look. The rich fucking over the poor. It's always been the case. And it's in games in such a huge, obvious way that I just can't get my head around all the apologetic, defending fanboys that will deny it. I don't know what is wrong with these people. They are the most pathetic human beings I think I've ever met in my life. Absolutely pathetic. I've got very little in common with modern day gamers. Very little in common. They're ruining games. Absolutely. They're ruining the whole industry. And it's time people had a look in the fucking mirror. I'm annoyed because these companies are just getting more ballsy. They're just more or less saying, hey, look, yeah, you know what, it's pay to win. Yeah, we've got loot crates. You got to buy your gear. Yeah. They're getting so brass now. They don't give a because they know the fanboys are there. They know they've got this huge safety net of fanboys that will protect their franchise. Oh, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've got to look after this. I've got to protect and serve. Oh, I'm a huge COD fanboy. I don't care what they do. I don't care if they murder me mother and sell her off in bits. I'm just, I don't care because I'm a Call of Duty fanboy, Hey, I want to buy a loot crate if I can get me mum's arm. Yeah, it's like, that's the kind of f***tards we're dealing with here, guys. That's the kind of people. I know this is just falling on deaf ears. I know there's just going to be like the usual fucking suspects in the comments going, it's not fair. It's not. Luke Skywalker's my hero. It's not fair. I'm buying it. Take my money. Rant over, guys.